welcome to another edition of the Grandstanders Live. I'm your host, Scott Kerman, and I'm joined by my usual cohorts, Russ Stevens on my far left and Uncle Joe McLaughlin on my right. Well, we have a special guest sit in the studio today. He's our new international sports correspondent. He's my great friend. Let's give a warm Grandstanders welcome to Sir Mark Decanter. Great to have you, Mark.
Welcome.
Thank you.
All right, boys. Well, it's been another exciting, crazy week in sports, so let's get it started. We're starting with the Patriots, or the New England Outlaws, as I like to call them. In the heading of men behaving badly, one Malcolm Butler. When you last saw Malcolm Butler, Patriots fans, he was only winning the freaking Super Bowl for us. Now, Malcolm had a little problem with travel. He went, he had a plane, right? And a little late due to weather, came in the next day, and I'll go to Russ Stevens. What did Bill Belichick, decided one? What did he do to Malcolm Butler, Russ?
He sat him down for a few practices.
And why did he do that? He's only the guy, the reason we won the Super Bowl.
Let me ask you a question.
Go ahead.
89 other guys managed to make it to voluntary workouts on time, and one doesn't. What do you do to the one?
If he's Malcolm Butler, we ask him, tell him to have his pads and tell him to get there.
Malcolm Butler is a guy who made a great play in the Super Bowl, but is still a second-year player.
Yeah, and an example has to be made to the 60 or so new people. You got to take Malcolm to the woodshed.
Amen, Joe.
Yeah.
Shrink his head. He's had parades in his honor in his hometown and the like. He's got to come back to Earth, just like Jonas Gray had to come off that Sports Illustrated cover and go right back to his practice squad like Cinderella.
All right, Mark.
Yeah.
Would you like to work for Bill Belichick right now?
Yes, of course, because the New England Patriots. But
Right.
yeah, it's getting a little tricky where the focus should be on football, and
Right.
every story we hear right now, we're talking about things off the field, pretty much.
You're right.
Which we can all talk about. Like I can talk with my family about everything that's going on off the field with them. So it's
Right.
great for the
That's
NFL.
great.
That
Good
bring
life
in the
lessons.
family,
That's
bring in
exactly
the wife,
right.
everyone, so they're getting what they want. Like my wife might buy a Butler shirt now.
Right.
But yeah, talking about football. Like,
Patriots.
They've transcended away from
Wait. He's one of the stars of the Patriots, so he shouldn't be punished?
Wait.
Take us back to
Wait. You don't think Malcolm Butler is one of the stars of the Patriots right now? He is one of the top 5 most recognizable
But you're going to start
players on the
making
team.
exceptions on rules that are supposed to be the same. He sent Revis home. He has sent Moss home. He has sent Vrabel home. He would send Brady home.
This is voluntary practice.
No,
But not
it's
for the
voluntary
team.
practice that 89 other people
Yeah.
made it to on time, right?
His flight was delayed. He called. He was going to play.
He could have gotten an earlier flight.
He's coming from freaking Alabama. Do you know they have like one flight a year? They're coming to Boston.
We talked
They
about
have
this.
motor vehicles and everything down there now.
Joe, let me ask you a question.
There you go.
Let me ask you a question. You have a big meeting on a Monday morning, right, in Cincinnati, 9 in the morning, and you know you can get a 6:30 flight, roll into the Cincinnati airport at 8:45, and make it to the office by 9. Are you going to go out Sunday night to make sure at the meeting, or you're going to go on Monday morning?
I'm taking the red eye and getting there as early as I possibly
Absolutely
can.
right. And
I'll be
that's-
there.
Oh, you're a mailman.
The only way I get anywhere on time is being an hour early.
That's
the
exactly
only way
right.
I
That's
can
the wrong person.
No, you're getting soft, Scott.
What if
I
you
don't think
called
it-
your boss, right, and told him
No,
you're going to be late?
That's a life lesson that you learn at some point, but not at
exactly
this point.
right.
Not when you just caught the one ball you're going to catch in your life. You did that one. At that point, you ride it. You don't do stupid stuff like this
That's
anymore.
exactly right.
Yeah.
3-1.
Lesson
Like,
learned,
3-1.
I'm sure.
Oh, wait a minute, Spikes made it.
Like he made
No, he made
He was
it.
going 120 miles an hour to get there.
But let's assume that one play wasn't a fluke and the guy has the gift, right? And he's going to make hundreds more of those, at least for the next 12 years of his career.
Right.
He'll know, if I want to be there at the top in 12 years from now and still be the man and and be
That's
at some point a leader, you can't do that. He's learned his lesson, move on.
Who leaked
you-
it then? Who leaked this then? Why did we even have to
It
know
was
this?
common knowledge a few days ago. It was the Boston sports writers.
Yeah.
My
My
wife
wife
under
knew
their
about
hat for a while now.
Yeah.
He
Because
was
I
always
learned
said he
about
wasn't at
this
practice.
about
Yeah.
3 or 4 days ago, and Jeff Howe just printed in the paper yesterday. I mean, they're paid lackeys of the Patriots.
Absolutely.
They're all paid
It's not like
lackeys.
us who are Neutral.
We're on nobody's payroll.
No,
Yeah,
absolutely. No agenda.
Loose cannons rolling around the deck.
Yeah.
People get paid to be at the stadium, on the day one, so they'll be there, and then you have 1,000 people staying there that don't get paid, also waiting for everyone to come up, and he doesn't show up. All the fans are going to be like, wait a minute, isn't he?
Yeah.
Did we cut him already, or where is he? What happened? And
Okay, so are we going to punish the Patriots for signing Brandon Spikes again? The 4 years a slave?
No,
the
you
guy
take
who
the
literally... Can you shoot yourself out of town any more than that man did?
No.
Literally, other than just going into Bill Belichick's office and basically urinating on the desk. What else does he have to do, right?
Yeah.
To never wear a Patriots uniform again.
Well, he did it, and they cut him.
See, it's all about,
he-
it's nothing personal, it's just, it's professional. And Belichick keeps it that way. Just like he was with
A third
Butler.
of that locker room wouldn't pass a character test at any
Yeah.
given time. A third of that locker room would not pass a character test, right? Wouldn't get hired by some large
Wouldn't
corporation,
get hired by McDonald's.
right? So you take your shot. Thank God he didn't kill anybody,
Yeah.
and they cut him at the first sign of trouble
with that,
again,
yeah.
right? So what are
like
we
you don't,
supposed to do?
yeah, that whole, again, the football people, when they go through, when you're little and you go through all the different social environments that people come from, you're right, it's, you're going to have to deal with groups where they go, okay, it's going to be harder, and they got the car, you got the lifestyle,
Yeah.
and even if it's the third, the fourth time,
All right, okay, all right, well, I'm just glad he's off the roads. And
In Bill we trust.
Brandon, don't
Yeah.
come to Brookline anytime soon. I don't want to see you one
Take the
night.
tea, Brandon, if you come to Brookline.
Yeah, absolutely. So I had a dream, okay? I had a dream last night, all right? And I was driving a party bus, guys, yeah.
Cool.
Party bus, yeah. And I picked up 8 Red Sox players. And I'm going to tell you the 8 Red Sox players I picked up. Pablo Sandoval, Hanley Ramirez, Rusney Castillo, Porcello, Victorino, Napoli, Masterson, and Craig.
He went off a cliff, I hope.
I dropped them off at a monastery. Yeah, I dropped them off in a monastery,
Right.
a Tibetan monastery.
Yeah.
And I asked you a question as Red Sox fans. I just did this, and now they're in a monastery. Do you miss any of these 8 ball players that we just took off the Red Sox?
No, I don't think so.
No.
Not right now.
Would you miss them in the future?
Probably not.
Okay, Mark, do you
There'd
want
be
to
room for someone who might want to play.
Okay, you know the 8 guys I just listed? You know how much the Red Sox owe them and the length of their contracts? $410 million. And literally,
That's a
right?
big investment.
Yeah, that's actually real money. And that's not pesos. That's real, and liras? No, $410 million.
Right.
So my question to you boys is, how are we getting out of that? How are
like
we getting
national
rid
debt.
of 8 guys?
Call up the Dodgers again.
Right. No, you only get one bite at that apple. We got
Yeah.
bailed out once, and we're not going to get bailed out again.
And they made the same mistake again, and shame on them.
But this could cost the franchise for many years to come, right? I mean,
Could.
it's going to be a point where we're going to have to keep these guys on the team
Yeah.
because of their contracts, not because of their ability.
Yeah, they're going to have to, they're going to have to move them around to get them into positions where they at least have a fighting chance to succeed. Hanley at DH, right?
Well,
Pablo against only righties. You're going to end up having to slice this thing in a million different ways to get value out of these guys who to your point, you're paying a ton of money to.
And the
And
thing
you're
is,
going to need a manager that can get these guys to play that way without.
like in countries when we get that much debt, from day 1 to day 2, nothing really changes. But they reorganize the loans and somehow, and then they
Right.
say you're on the right track now.
Payment plan.
But nothing has changed, right? It's like if you and I change a loan, and I think the same here. Where you're right, like you'll move a few things, do that, do here, but
You're
doesn't.
going to have to deal with it.
And then
Players
you're
aren't going to get any better
Yeah.
as the contracts go on, right? Players don't
You're
get
just
any
you're
better.
gambling again. You're just gambling that they might do a little, just
Yeah.
enough better that as a group of 8, if they do 20% better, that's better than nothing.
Yeah. Look, I think it's not as sexy it's much sexier to blame the manager, to blame the GM, but I give Henry credit when he came out last week and said, this is a systems issue. Because that's what this is. They've been adhering to a philosophy and a system
Right.
for the last 12 years or 14 years, right, faithfully. But the problem with religious fervor is that it doesn't recognize a change in the context. And the fact is, the game has moved on from that system, right? They used to get up there, wait pitchers out, get into their bullpen, and remember they used to hammer the bullpens.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah.
Now they just pound the strike zone on them.
Guys, 23-year-olds throwing 96 as relievers in the 7th inning, pounding the strike zone with 95-mile-an-hour fastballs.
Everyone's 0-2 before they know what
Exactly right. So their system has to change, and Henry basically implied that that's what we're going to need to do.
Well, Henry said the team is playing like bleep.
And you
So I would
gotta
like to
be
say
more
yes, they're playing like bleepity bleep 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 bleep. Yeah. And it's always been all right for him to swear. So apparently that was the vote of confidence that he was giving John Farrell and your boy Charrington, right?
That's right.
So
The dreaded vote of
vote of
confidence.
confidence, right? That's before you're out the door and they tell you how much they like you, right? So now, John Farrell in the next week or two, is he the first one to go out the door if they continue to play this way?
Here's the first one out the doors. I think they pulled the plug on Carmine last night.
Right.
That to me is seriously should be the first one out the door. Was like,
Yeah.
find some new algorithms because that's not working anymore.
Flawed data system. That
Right.
is,
When
Do they
they
have to go back to really change, like you were saying, did the game change so much, and are the other teams adapting to that change? And you really, so you still have the ownership because they bring in the money, but then everything down from there, you think that's what?
because right, that's a great point because I mean what they're trying to adapt to is go from the steroid issue, era to
That's absolutely right.
speed, athletic guys. I mean, you see them in this.
Pablo Sandoval, Hanley Ramirez.
No, they're still in
That's a great point, Joe, because we have athletes that would have looked good on the Red Sox in 2004, except it's 2015.
My point's exactly. We got too many guys who used to be good.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. Like I think one of the things that happened in the steroid era is it upped all the pitchers' games, right? So that the pitchers to compete in the steroid era had to throw hard with great command.
Yeah.
Well, we got the whole remnants of that right now that we're
So do you
dealing with,
think-
except no one's on steroids.
So our athletes get, or like you see it in other sports, they're going to be in the international, the tennis one, where if you compare it to 10 years ago, it's not that these guys are better technique-wise or anything, but they practice more, they can hit harder, they can hit
better,
harder, longer.
absolutely.
They're strong.
And now you
Better,
put the
they lift
pitchers-
weights.
So what used to be, this guy can only do 4 innings, if we're getting to the
Great
point where
point.
these guys can do 7 innings now,
Yeah.
and you've got the guys that are like, no, this guy can only do 5 innings, and next thing you know, they're at bat at the 6th inning, and the guy's still hitting, throwing that fast.
Yeah, because maybe the pitchers can throw the ball faster, but the hitters can't swing the bat
I think
faster.
that's-
Right? And
well,
so all of a sudden,
right,
there's
exactly.
the adjustment.
It's very interesting.
So we're talking about guys that maybe their careers are over. One, Big Papi, who I love, and let's just mention we have a little the bobblehead here, and a little coochie, David Ortiz. We just love him, and a little celebration there. Big Papi said he's not done, but he's just playing that way, right? To me, I know we've kind of written this before, right? That said Big Papi's done, but I think he's done.
This time, I think the thought has crept into his head, not just ours.
It's a great point, Joe.
And that's when it gets dangerous.
He's mentioned retirement 3 or 4 times since, not that he was going to retire, but he's talked about the topic. And I've always said, you start to mention retirement. It's like you start to talk with your wife about having a baby and all of a sudden she's pregnant like a day and a half later, right? Like you can't start to talk about those things without really starting to
Well, you did
go
something
down
after
that
you
road.
talked.
Right, exactly.
Okay,
Yeah.
it wasn't-
But, but he has spoken about it a few times. I think you're right, Joe. It's in his head.
Yeah.
And once you start thinking this might be it,
You
basically
automatically
like-
slow down because you think you're slowing down. Everything. It's
Yeah.
But do you think he's afraid he's going to hurt himself, or he?
No,
because
it's
what-
just a self-fulfilling prophecy.
I think that's
type
right.
thing.
It's a great point, Joe.
But will he announce early so we can have parade around the stadiums and
Such a great
have
question,
Big
right?
Papi love, or will he even get any Big Papi love? Are we
Yeah.
delusional to think that anybody loves
He-
Big Papi other than us?
I think the opposing players love Big Papi. I don't know if the
Yeah,
fans
he's
do.
got friends on
Yeah.
every other team.
Yeah.
So
That's a great point. Is that would he
wonder-
retire without his victory lap?
yeah, and stay.
Well,
I think he
do.
wants one. I think he wants one.
He'll wet his finger to see if there's going to be a victory lap.
Very interesting.
They'll call Seattle and say, "Would you have a night for?"
Of course, everyone
Yeah.
needs to sell tickets in every town around there. If they can sell another 100 tickets,
To Red Sox fans, it's going to be Red Sox fans.
they will.
So, would you give him a victory lap, Joe? If
Why
you want to
not?
come back next year?
How many did he win?
Would you
for?
give
I don't want to pick up the
With the
option to tell
World
you the
Series,
truth.
He won 3 World Series. So
Greatest.
He's automatically
clutch
enshrined
player.
in the Red Sox Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Guaranteed. And
Do you give him a victory lap? So at the end of the year, Ortiz ends up playing against righties for the most of the rest of the year. Say he hits 17 home runs, 75 RBI, right? You're the GM. Do you pick up his option?
Oh, no. They're
You're
done.
not.
They're not picking up anything.
With the
Because
400
remember,
million?
That
how
house
he
has
affects the
got red
run.
weights on it.
He affects the run in a negative way right now, and I think they want him out the door just as much just to get him out, get his voice out of there. But than anything else. He's batting 100 with runners in scoring position.
No, you got
They're going to do.
unacceptable.
I think they're picking up his option. I think they're going to give him a victory lap.
Yeah.
That's
You
my
think?
guess. Yeah.
All the other teams would like it because it would sell a lot of tickets around the league.
Right.
They like those victory laps. They give them a worthless prize, have them before there, and they sell a whole bunch
You
of
got to
extra
get
tickets.
something out of it. Like that's where I'm. Like it's not where
Like, give
in
him a
soccer
base
where
or
you can
something,
do
you
like
know?
you can sit out half the games and we can put you in the 80th minute.
Yeah, it's a great
not-
point.
Like at this point, he's in or he's out. Like you
Yeah.
can't just have him
But
on the
Major
bench.
League Baseball may want this because think of any other athlete right now in Major League Baseball who would be taking a victory lap in the next 10 years other than Big Pop.
That anyone's going to care about.
That anyone's going to care about.
That doesn't have a.
And they got a lot of publicity, with the Jeter and Mariano Rivera.
Yeah.
They're showing a lot of late, September games
It's
that
going to
nobody's
be a very
interested.
close call. This thing is not written in stone.
And what if Big Papi night, say in Kansas City, and he's facing and there's a lefty going, and he doesn't even play in the
On the
game.
bench.
If it's September and they're 20
And they're-
games out. So let's talk positive because this is a fan show and we love the Red Sox, right?
Yes,
Full of
we do.
optimism.
And let me just say that physically, I would hurt inside if I was an Orioles fan right now that they gave up a one Erod, Eduardo Rodriguez,
Lord, yeah.
a star pitcher for a rental, Andrew Miller, who they did not even re-sign. And had they
I
re-signed
think
him,
he's on the DL right now.
but still, they didn't re-sign him. I'm talking about the Orioles right now. And he looks like the real deal. He's actually, the 3 games he's pitched in statistics, the greatest
Yeah.
first 3 games
Is that right?
of
Three stats,
all
yeah.
time by a rookie pitcher.
Really?
Yeah.
All time. Major League Baseball's been around for a while.
Yeah.
So I ask you, right, if
Maybe.
we had traded Erod right now to an AL East team, how sick would you be right now?
As sick as I was when we traded Jeff Bagwell for Larry Anderson.
Yeah.
Right.
But
But
he's a lot of fun to watch because he just catches the ball. All the games are 2 hours that he starts.
It's really
Catches throws,
That-
catches throws.
He might be your new model. Talking about like the
pound the strike zone.
because we were at that game that he
we were-
pitched at
Yeah,
home.
you look up 94.
Yeah.
Right.
You're like,
Oh,
you're
that
like,
day
you look-
game, yeah.
Yeah. Unhittable,
Yeah.
right? Challenges guys at 94, 95.
Yeah.
He's a lefty. He's 22 years
Yeah.
old. He's mature. He's actually the only reason right now you watch the Red Sox,
Yeah.
right?
Pretty much. I mean, Pedroia's having a nice year. He's brought it back to where
Yeah.
he was before, which
Definitely,
is great.
But the pitching, it's like it's cool to watch. To come
terrific.
in and
Yeah.
just be like, I'm going to watch the 6 innings he's pitching.
Yeah. Are we
And
ready
then-
for a Pedroia meltdown? Are we ready for? I think that Pedroia. There's
I've been
only a
wondering
couple of
this.
guys giving an
Right.
effort on this team right now. Pedroia, of course, is one of them. And we saw a kind of a meltdown when Castillo was not able to put down the bunt. Well, I guess apparently was not
I
even
think he wasn't
supposed to
supposed
bunt.
to bunt, yeah.
And we saw Pedroia just going crazy.
He
and-
got hung
and-
out to dry. I'd be
Yeah.
down too.
You are. I'm kind of waiting for the day that Pedroia snaps and starts taking the bats out of the rack and just chucking them on the field.
Yeah, right.
Like that's the level of snapping that
Yeah.
you kind of feel like this team needs. And if
Right.
the manager's not going to do it, somebody needs to throw a chair through a window on this team.
Or maybe take a bat to Hanley Ramirez's head, just something.
Yeah.
But or is it
Something
going
to get the attention.
Or is it going to be something that happens at the locker room?
I don't know.
You know what I mean? Or
yeah.
he starts making some
I
comments.
don't know if he has that kind of voice inside of that locker room. I think externally
He's not a
the-
commanding presence.
No, because he's like 3 feet tall, and we have a Pedroia. Yeah, right there.
Whereas
Going up.
Farrell, big strapping guy like that, should be the commanding
Oh,
presence.
Joe, aren't you sick of the whole John Wayne, John
that?
Farrell
Not working.
It was
crap?
an illusion, right?
I mean,
It was an illusion.
right? Yeah, exactly. It
was an illusion.
Nah.
He's a little cat, which is a pussy.
He's
I mean,
just- he's
come
just-
on, let's be honest.
He's taking care of his players. There's no one's throwing
likes
anyone under
Napoli.
the bus. It's not
right.
working for him right now.
Going back to the chicken fingers and beers and the player,
Yeah.
like at some point, you're right, like it either has to be outside of the whole thing and have the public involved and really put all these guys to shame with the public.
Right.
Because if you keep it inside, like
And they really shouldn't be listening to us. We are not experts in everything, but still we have
They-
voice in things because We buy the tickets. We watch on TV.
Well, there are a lot of
watch
teams, a lot of sport, like in Europe, like a lot of teams, the supporters are so heavily involved. You look at the Real Madrids and like again, they don't make the decisions, but you almost get the feeling that you start getting a voice.
Yeah.
Right, and if you,
It would seem like Barcelona and Real Madrid have a voice like that.
Look, what's the most painful
They're like
thing?
countries.
What's the
Right,
most painful
they-
thing right now is effort, and we're not seeing
Yeah.
effort. And when you don't see
and being
effort,
Americans, like what do we care about? Like at the end, if you show effort, we don't care
Absolutely.
your grades, but we
We're
want to
happy.
see effort.
Yeah.
This is not.
And the thing
absolutely
that's
right.
so frustrating about this is there are some guys who are performing well on this team. Bogarts has big bounce back year.
Yeah.
Betts, who I think his batting average of balls in play. I mean, it's
We're not getting results, but he's hitting the ball.
he squares the ball up all the time, right?
Right.
Holt is having another nice year. Pedroia is having a nice year. So you look and you see a half dozen guys on this team who are performing well, but the product is just so bland.
But also, you haven't mentioned one big slugger.
No.
You've mentioned
But-
nice, complimentary
300
players.
hitters.
Yeah.
Shortstop, second baseman, utility guy, center field. Where are the
Yeah,
big
both.
fatties who are supposed to?
Well, and this is what I said to you the
Corner
other day.
outfield is corner
They have
outfield.
managed to convince us that we don't need superstars. We don't need the Mike Trouts of the world or the Miguel Cabreras. So we don't get them. And we get Hanley Ramirez and Pablo Sandoval, Joe's point, the guys who would have been good players 10 years ago, or were good players 10 years ago.
All right, so I'm sick enough on the Red Sox, so we're going to move on to the NBA Finals. Are you guys watching this?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We all like superstars, right? That's why you turn on the TV. Superstars in soccer, right? Any sport. We've trashed LeBron in the course of this show. I'm not going to lie to you, Mark. But I've never had more respect for LeBron than watching him in the last 3 games. Not only is this guy a talented superstar, but the effort
A
is
working
off
man's
the
effort.
charts.
Yeah.
Right.
That's a John Henry type effort.
He is willing himself
Yeah.
to win a
To the cause.
championship.
Yeah.
Have you, I mean, and this is a big guy.
Yeah.
He's playing 5 positions.
People, I'm shocked that people are still criticizing LeBron. You'll hear, well, he's only shooting 33%. He's playing 1 on 5.
Yeah.
She's shooting 33%. He's playing 1 on 5. You go out and play 5 16-year-olds in basketball.
I
When
remember.
when they're only double teaming him, they're not doing their job on defense. They're throwing 3
Crazy.
guys at him.
So impressed with
And
that
they're beating
guy.
the crap out of him. Every time you elbow here, kicking him in the groin.
Yeah, he
or
gets
something.
chipped off left,
He's
right,
like,
and in
he's
between.
like Godzilla. So the team, every team throughout the whole playoff, you're going to hit the guy, like
That's
as far as you
exactly
can,
right.
because
But
you know, like that's
where they're missing their beat on him. They're letting him sit outside and dribble
Catches.
for 10, 15
Yeah.
seconds. He's
I read
resting up.
that one. Yeah,
He's resting
Yeah.
up.
Great
That's
point.
interesting.
Yeah.
He's smarter because I remember
Yeah.
you took me to one game and was like with Garnett, those guys, and he played LeBron the first half. I go, how can a guy that big play that hard?
Yeah.
Like it's almost doesn't. It defies human.
It's
build,
his-
and-
yeah.
But now I think he's smarter.
Yeah.
Like he can do what you said. He
Yeah.
knows
He's
how to make it
dictating the
run.
tempo
Yeah.
to the other team.
It's his real coming out moment,
Yeah.
right? Because he goes to
Yeah.
Miami, wins those championships, and people say, yeah, but he can only win those because he's got the big 3.
Yeah.
Right.
This is one where he is putting, I mean, look, I hope he does it. I hope he does
I
it.
do, yeah.
The
Oh, for
guy
Cleveland,
deserves
right?
it. I hope he
feel
does
it.
it for Cleveland.
Yeah.
The amount of hacking that goes on him and during the course of it, I hope he does it on every level. And if he does it, it's going to be one of the great
He's going to
accomplishments of all time in the NBA, if not in
yes.
sports.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah, for our
Right?
young fans who are watching out there, who Michael Jordan this, Michael Jordan that,
Yeah.
and you never saw him play. Michael Jordan could not do right now what LeBron
He
James
tried,
is
and he
doing.
couldn't do it. He tried for many years.
But physically, what he's doing as far as every aspect of
Yeah.
the
Until
game.
Scottie Pippen came along.
Until Pippen
Right.
matured, Jordan couldn't do it playing 1 on 5.
But defensively, too. I mean, what
terrific.
LeBron's doing. I mean, he's rebounding. He's doing everything.
But LeBron is a lot bigger individual, too, than Mike.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're different. Yeah, different
Yeah,
styles.
different
But the
guys,
NBA,
but
they're
still.
bigger, too. All the NBA players are bigger, too. So that's been very exciting.
Yeah.
And I didn't think that was going to be that exciting of a series, and I'm fascinated.
Matthew Dellavedova.
Yeah, right.
Oh, my
A little
God.
Aussie.
He's just throwing himself
Right.
around. I mean, this may be the last basketball series he ever plays, just because he's going to be so beat to heck at the end of
Yeah.
it. He'll have like PTSD coming out of the series.
Yeah.
But that's the fun part about
Yeah.
playoffs and championships. Some guy that you've never heard of, and you'll
great
never hear about
style.
again,
It's very cool.
for a short period of time, can play exceptional. And you're seeing that right now with him. Right?
Well, there's only 5 guys on the floor, and if one guy's going above and beyond consistently, that's the kind of stuff that
The
can
Malcolm
happen.
Butlers of the world. There's always a surprise hero.
So I can't have our international correspondent, our new international correspondent on without talking, and we talked about it the last few weeks, without talking about FIFA. FIFA, as you know, is the most powerful organization in sports. And the corruption that's coming out of FIFA each week, apparently the vice president of FIFA, who only took up a couple of $100 million in bribes, nothing much, also stole his name is Jack Warner, stole $750,000 from the Haitian Relief Earthquake Fund, and wrote it down on a form, Joe, that it was for his personal use. So, Mark, please teach us that is something that we're missing that in our sports organizations that
You should have no shame.
Exactly that the international sports.
Well, the
unions
timing is crazy. A year ago, you and I were talking, and I said, just so you knew, or so you know, like in Europe, sometimes with referees, it's strange. Like you'll see the little article that, okay, this guy got caught, but there's a lot more going on, like Italians, Belgians, like Russians, so there is that. That was a year ago. And a year later, the biggest organization, it suddenly comes up. So it almost for Europeans, it feels like, that's just knowledge that people have as it happens.
You accept it, in other words. Part of the. My question for you is: it's just part of the program that you buy into if you're watching these. The sport?
The way the
You have to
games are
ignore
going.
it to watch and enjoy
Yeah,
it.
because think about it too. Like we have, it's not that you have California, Tennessee, and New England. Like there, you have Russia, Italy, England,
Countries, right.
Netherlands,
Sure.
Nationalist
Switzerland.
fervor.
Yeah, so Switzerland, well, they're the banks. The Russians are the Russians. The English are. So again, with this many cultures, it's going on because Russians are going to be like Russians. So if you take your team there, it's not like we're going to
The Russian
road trip.
figure skating judges.
So we have to score. We can't win by 1. We have to win by like 6.
Yeah, so that whole thing is there, and I think you've seen it in different places. What happened is America, the way we think about it is we try to keep it clean, and again
Level playing field. Right,
the
level
playing
playing
field.
field,
It's about
right.
the effort, right? It's the effort. Like you come here, you work hard, you succeed. It's not about corruption. It's not.
So it's interesting that the Americans are the ones who cut.
Right, because I think what they're doing is
let's not act like the Americans.
I think the Americans were chosen to catch them.
You think
Other
so?
countries wanted them caught
wouldn't do
and
it.
chose the Americans to do the dirty work.
Yeah.
But the thing about American criminals and the international criminals are, you have to pay hundreds of millions of dollars to bribe these guys. In America, you just can I borrow your car? Yeah, absolutely. I can borrow your. Oh, good. Here's the keys to the bank. We just go right. We're just much cheaper, right?
Right. Costs less to bribe us.
Long less.
Oh, your Applebee's gift card? Perfect. Whatever you want. You said, throw this game. And that's where you can't understand it. It's the.
It's interesting, though, to be a soccer fan in Europe, you have to accept that some of this might not be on the level. That would be hard. That's a hard sell over here.
Because that's where with Deflategate, then you go. We were talking before the show. You have so many cameras. I cannot do anything. I walk into an airport and I steal $1 out of someone's wallet. They'll have that on tape. Within 15 minutes, if the guy says someone's
Siren start.
stuff come happening.
Yeah.
And then we've got Deflategate. So someone is making a phone call saying, okay, we can leak it at this point. Let's do this. This is how much.
Because we're moral. We're just
You start thinking about that,
We're so
right?
moral in this country. But that one quick. That's our show for tonight.
Oh, wow.
Want to thank everyone behind the scenes. Want to thank, of course, Russ Stevens, our new international correspondent, Sir Mark DeCanter, Uncle Joe McLaughlin. My name is Scott Kerman. Have a great night.